I'd like to call a special meeting of the Board of Education to order. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. I appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to come to this special meeting. Just a little bit of highlights. This special meeting was requested by Elisa Morrison on Saturday, July 28th, to discuss the current issues at the high school involving Mr. Chokas and how we as a board need to proceed moving forward, and to include the Board of Education's attorney. By Sunday morning at 10:40, board members agreed that a special meeting was necessary to help understand the timeline, the process, and to bring the community into the process, even though we have not yet received the Office of Child Advocate's report. By noontime, board members agreed the week of August 5th would work for everybody, and that I would contact Nick Grello, the Board of Education attorney, for his availability. So for tonight's agenda, the board will enter into executive session. Then when we exit executive session, I will go through the process of the OCA report and receiving and how we are able to respond as much as we know at this time. And then after that, we will open up for public comment. So at this time, I do need a motion to enter into executive session and to invite Dr. Riley and Attorney Grello. All in favor? So moved. On to the fourth item on our agenda, the process of receiving and response to the Office of Child Advocate report. No, we don't. There are some answers and clarification needed on this process. I have some of those, but unfortunately I do not have all of the answers. At this point, we do know it has been confirmed that the Office of Child Advocate is considered an outside independent investigation. Under state statute, the OCA has the jurisdiction to review policies, procedures, and practices regarding mandatory reporting of suspected child abuse and neglect. They review complaints of persons concerning the actions of any state or municipal agency providing service to children. This is from Connecticut General Statute 46A-131. To fulfill that mandate, Connecticut law grants the child advocate unfettered access, including the right to inspect and copy any records necessary to carry out the responsibilities of the child advocate. I can say that we have continued to work with the Office of Child Advocate, Sarah Egan. We did provide all documents requested, and those documents were provided before the deadline of July 19th. At that time, or earlier when this process first started, I was told by somebody who had worked in the OCA that this process takes approximately 2 weeks. That would have been August 1st, so obviously that's not the same at this time. Some questions we had and that were answered is the report will be received by our attorney, our Title 19 attorney from Shipman and Goodman. Once that attorney receives that report, then she will contact Dr. Riley and myself. There could be further questions. There could be further requests to meet with staff that's involved. That's all very, very likely and possible. Once all of those questions have been answered for the Office of Child Advocate, from there, the Office of Child Advocate will complete a report. That report will provide complete recommendations. And from there, we will receive that report back with the recommendations. And And then from there, the district is able to make an action plan in response to those recommendations. And those will be specific, the list of the recommendations, the action that needs to be taken, and the time frame that those will be handled in. And during that process, we want to make sure that the community is involved. We have a lot of stakeholders that should be included in this process. We have the administration, we have the community, we have parents, most of all we have students. All of these people need to be involved in this process, and in order to make this a comprehensive and effective action plan that everybody can rely on and everyone can trust. So unfortunately at this time, that's all the answers I have. We do check in with Sarah Egan, our lawyer does, to check in on the process. At this point, she says she's in the middle of reviewing our documents. So we've not yet received any further information. We will continue to check in, and as we have any updates, we will try to pass those along to you. From here, we'll go into public comment. And I do want to make sure that people are aware, the news media is here, and they are recording. When you do come up to make a comment, there's a paper and pen on the podium there. If you could please put your name and your town residence. That's so that Anna, when she's going back to do the minutes, is able to report that accurately. We also do have a 5-minute time frame per comment, and we are limited, according to our bylaws, to 20 minutes per topic. With a motion, we can increase that time frame so that it may allow more time for people to comment. We would need a motion and majority approval to do that. And considering the topic, rather than interrupting comments 20 minutes in, I'm looking for maybe a motion to increase the amount of time for comment, and it does need to be a specific amount of time.
I'll make a motion to increase the amount of time from 20 minutes.
Okay, to 40 minutes, to 60 minutes?
As long as it takes.
We need a time
2
frame, and then
hours.
we can always
2 hours.
Okay. Second? All in favor? So moved. So we have increased the amount of time to 2 hours, and it is 5 minutes per comment. If there's anyone who'd like to present public comment, please feel free.
I have comments on my phone, so you can bear with me for a minute.
That's fine. And can you please state your name and
Yes.
thank you.
Hello, my name is Noreen Keppel. I was an educator for 38 years, 33 years teaching early childhood here in Stonington. I have had 4 children go through the Stonington public school system, a son and 3 daughters. I attended many workshops on what it means to be a mandated reporter to the Department of Children and Family Services, which was a requirement of my position. I understood that training to mean this: during the course of teaching children, if you suspected inappropriate or harmful behavior was being done to a child, or you were told about such behavior, you were required to report it to DCF so that they could appropriately validate any claims. My question is this: why was it when these girls repeatedly spoke out that DCF was not contacted initially? All teachers, coaches, principals are required to report such activity. That should have been the first course of action. Why is it that Stonington schools could not tell parents and taxpayers that this was done? We did not need to know what was reported, just that it was. At the very least, how is Mr. Chokas's behavior appropriate to these students in the professional role of teacher? How did it continue for years? What code of ethics does the Stonington Public School System endorse? I wonder if the roles were reversed and a student did something inappropriate to a teacher, how swiftly that student would be expelled or even suspended. The girls that came forward were brave and strong. They thought that if they did something, measures would be taken to stop such behavior. But sadly, it continued to put more young women at risk. I am asking the board to look for answers and transparency, to do just what those young women did, the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Keppel. That's fine, thank you.
My name is Faith Leitner, and first I want to thank you, the board, for having this meeting tonight, because this is a serious matter. And according to the day, 25 female students have reported inappropriate conduct on a teacher, that a teacher did to them, and this is not okay. 25, that number just kind of blows my mind. To have just one, I think is a serious matter, but to have 25, it feels like that if it's 25, that there's many more female students that did not report this. And so this is kind of like maybe a tip of an iceberg. I commend these ladies, and I am so glad that they did come forward. And I think of the Me Too movement that has started, and this is a Me Too moment. I am very thankful that they had the courage to report these inappropriate acts. During my readings, I also went online to find the mission statement for Stonington Public Schools, and I'm proud to be a Stonington Mystic resident. I really thought that the mission statement was spot on. However, it was missing something, and I can read it. It's only a few sentences. Stonington Public Schools, where we believe in all students. Through partnership with family and community, we will provide an innovative and inspirational educational environment where students succeed with confidence and develop a love of lifelong learning. This is great, but I didn't find the word safe in this mission statement. And in a world now where we're seeing on the news of, attacks in malls and attacks, just even at fairs and things, that the students need to know, and it should be in a mission statement, that they can be assured that we will provide a safe environment as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Paridi. I graduated Stonington High School in 2013. I came today because I think that there's one voice that hasn't really been heard, and for legal reasons, and I think that's the voice of Tim Chokas. I had Mr. Chokas as a teacher for 3 years. I was in his media class for 2 years, and then I took Photoshop with him. I completely respect the fact women have the right to feel exactly how to feel comfortable within their school system. They have the right to report things that make them uncomfortable. But I believe in my heart that if Mr. Chokas knew about certain things that were making people uncomfortable, he wouldn't have done them. He's a very loving, caring man. He's always been that teacher that's gone out of his way, come in early in the morning, taken his lunch break, and stayed after school to help out students. I've had students who I know who've been close friends with me, who I could honestly tell you probably wouldn't have made it through high school without an alibi like Mr. Chokas. I think that people have, especially in my generation and younger generations, take things in a different way than they should have been taken. I came from a very loving and caring family. We hug, we do a lot of those things, and I never took it as that. I saw Mr. Chokas as someone who looked out for me, who looked out for my best interest in school, who wanted to see me be a better person, and I always felt comfortable talking to him and seeing him, and I just think that it's one thing to take a man's job from him for the uncomfort of students, but it's another thing to slander him around town when this man is, he's being placed in the same articles as teachers from New London High School who have actually sexually assaulted students. This is not that man. We're painting him into a monster that he's not. And I know it takes a lot for one student to come out when every other student is against her, but I strongly believe that he doesn't have a voice right now, and I wanted the public and at least the community to know that it's not, that there's other people out there, and there's, for every student that feels like they've been uncomfortable due to Mr. Chokas' actions, I can guarantee you there's a student that he's changed their life. I can guarantee it. And it's just from their different reaction to the way that he is and how he acts towards his students. He never had the chance to have his own kids or start his own family, and he always treated us like we were family. And he's started up his own scholarships for people. He's helped underprivileged youth. He's taken all of his time to help kids, and especially kids who felt like the outcasts in school. And I just think, I just think that he just needs a voice when he can't speak for himself for legal reasons, and his family too, because I know they're going through hell. So I just thank you for listening to me, and I just wanted to let everyone know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments?
Hello, my name is Jennifer. I'm Jacqueline's sister. And she's bringing tears in my eyes right now because I've also had him as a teacher. And I know I left this school after 2 years, and multiple teachers after that just despised me and hated me and said multiple things about me, which was tough. But we had a breakfast for my class and for my senior year, and I asked if anyone could come out and support, and Mr. Chokas was there. He was there for me, and like, he did not care that I switched schools. He didn't care anything about that stuff, and he was just there for me and my family, and he was just one of the most supportive teachers I've ever had in my life. And it's just sad to see Like, I understand if people felt uncomfortable or anything, but that was not his intentions. He was just a very genuine person, and it's just sad to see him being seen like this, and I don't understand, like, how it could get out of control, but he was a very sweet man. I don't think anything that happened was, like, his intentions for that to be that way.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Right, this is a special meeting, so we can only address items that are on the agenda. I do want to thank everybody for attending tonight, and I do also want to make sure that is reiterated that we intend on keeping the community involved in this process, and look forward to hearing from you how you believe we can do that. Our emails are right on the website. I would appreciate some input on perhaps how the community believes they could be a part of this process and the action plan, and how to better include you and also the students, because I think they're a big voice that we need to continue involved in this process. Thank you again for attending. Is there? That's okay.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Thank you.